Live from WFSB, Connecticut's first choice for news. This is Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 6.
The death of a toddler has police combing an area for clues. It's our big story tonight. Good evening. The one thing police say they are sure about, the suspect, who is the mother's boyfriend. This is video of 35-year-old Craig Sadowski.
Tonight, as we learn what police know, Eyewitness News has more details about Sadowski's background. Let's get right to Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Susan Raff, live with the mobile newsroom in Essex, where the child was first taken for treatment. Susan?
Denise, a tragic story. This little boy was taken here to the Shoreline Medical Center, but this is not a trauma center, so he had to be airlifted to Yale New Haven Hospital, and that's where he died. Now, the man who's been arrested is the mother's boyfriend, and he's not a likely suspect. In fact, he has no criminal history. This is the man charged in the death of his girlfriend's child, Craig Sadowski. He's 35, recently divorced. And Eyewitness News has learned he has been living at his parents' vacation home in Old Lyme with his girlfriend and her 3-year-old son. There may not be a lot of witnesses in this case because this is a seasonal neighborhood.
There's a few of us that are year-round, not too many, and they just happen to be one of them. But
Sadowski is charged with assault and risk of injury to a minor. This picture on the internet was taken of Sadowski this past September at an amusement park. He's seen with a little boy. On his professional profile, Sadowski claims to have a master's degree, working with computers at Pfizer. And in 1991, he says he was given a Citizens Award by the Windsor Police Department for saving an elderly woman from her burning home. We asked Windsor Police if there was any truth to this Citizens Award on Sadowski. They tell us they are checking. Now, as for Sadowski, he's being held on a very high bond of $2.5 million, and state police tell us more charges could be pending. For now, we're live with the mobile newsroom in Essex. Susan Raff, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
All right, thank you, Susan. New at 6 tonight, the fear of eminent domain could be spreading. Eyewitness News takes you to Derby now, where business owners are hunkering down and gathering any information about the future of their livelihoods. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Leon Collins went there to find out what people are planning to do to keep their land. Leon?
Well, Dennis, probably a lot of people here in Connecticut remember what happened out in New London on the topic of eminent domain. There are still 4 property owners in downtown Derby who have not settled the issue of their relocation so that a massive downtown building project can move forward. Now, some city officials have paved the legal way to take over the property by eminent domain if all else fails. Eyewitness News spoke with Brian Calvert, the owner of this safe and lock company in downtown Derby, who says he didn't come to this country in 1968, build up a business for 35 years, to have it all torn down and maybe apart by eminent domain.
And there are people, unfortunately, all over the United States today hearing those 2 words, eminent domain. We're taking your property. And that's so un-American. You know, some people say, well, it's okay for schools, it's okay for railroad stations, it's okay for this. I don't think it's okay for anything. Stealing is stealing, where I come from.
Calvert is one of a few business owners who are at this point negotiating relocation terms and buyout possibilities with the city of Derby. The city tore down several unsightly, blighted downtown buildings this summer, but a few buildings with living businesses remain in that area. Derby city officials told Eyewitness News they'd prefer not to have to go the route of taking people's property by court order. However, a multi-million-dollar downtown revitalization project hangs in the balance.
We certainly want every business to remain in Derby, and we're trying to get new businesses to come to Derby. So last thing in the world we want to do is drive them out or, you know, do anything to minimize their business.
Again, city officials in Derby say they'd rather get the property as the result of successful negotiation rather than taking it by eminent domain. The negotiations continue. In the newsroom, Leon Collins, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
All right, thank you, Leon. This is not the first time, of course, that eminent domain would be used in our state to redevelop an area. You remember the big Supreme Court battle with Suzette Kelo? She was one of many people living in the Fort Trumbull neighborhood of New London who lost their battle to keep their homes and their land. More than a dozen landowners were forced from their homes. The New London Redevelopment Authority is building on that area and bringing in some new tax revenue. A state grand jury has been appointed in the ongoing criminal investigation of Hartford Mayor Eddie Perez. Investigators have been scrutinizing Perez since February, when it surfaced that the city gave a no-bid deal to a political supporter to operate a downtown parking lot. And in August, investigators searched Perez's home after they discovered he had hired a city contractor to do $20,000 worth of work on his home. The grand jury is expected to start next month.
All new tonight at 6, police in Plainfield are on alert. They're trying to determine who is targeting auto shops and a truck museum, causing damage and stealing thousands of dollars in equipment. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Kevin Hogan is live with the mobile newsroom in Plainfield now with the latest. Kevin?
Well, Denise, auto shops and others right along here in Route 12 in the north end of town in Moosop say brazen thieves are making off with thousands of dollars in goods as well as scrap metal. While some of the owners say police aren't doing enough to stop the situation, others are saying they're going to have to take the matter into their own hands. Brent Ramos says he's seen the suspects. The owner of this transmission shop suspects they were casing out his joint late last week.
We chased somebody out of here Thursday evening around 10:30. They went towards the highway.
Brent says the security cameras he has and alarms can only do so much to thwart the thieves. The Plainfield Police Department says they've gotten some complaints of burglaries day and night, but not a rash of targeted businesses.
It's only been a network of other business owners who have already been robbed that are taking care of each other and informing each other.
At this shop on Norwich Avenue, owner Dennis Johnson suspects thieves are going for scrap metal and wire. He's now planning on investing in high-tech security equipment and hoping police catch the culprits who've ripped him off 3 times this year.
Yeah, I mean, they're working on it, but if they're not right here when it happens, there's not much they can do.
This is going to come back to a consumer level, to where the consumer is going to end up having to pay for what these people are doing.
And those shop owners tell Eyewitness News tonight that they can't go to their insurance company to make the claim on some of their losses because they're afraid they're going to raise their premiums. Live at the mobile newsroom in Plainfield, Kevin Hogan, Channel 3, Eyewitness News.
In many suburban towns, it's leaf collection time, so you rake those leaves to the curb. But what if Mother Nature's not cooperating and they're still in the tree? What do you do then? We'll tell you coming up.
A group from New England, including some from Connecticut, are giving up their vacation time to help rebuild along the Gulf Coast. I'm Mark Dixon. We'll have the latest on their efforts coming up.
You're watching Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 6. Eyewitness News is everywhere, covering news in Connecticut. Deadly dangers lurking in your home. The top 5 hidden home hazards and how to avoid them. Tonight at 11. Covering news in your town. This is Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 6. Eyewitness News is everywhere in Connecticut.
Leaves are, well, leaving behind some big problems in West Hartford. The town is working on its annual vacuum leaf pickup, but they're being thwarted by stubborn leaves that don't seem to want to fall from the trees. And even as crews work their way through the streets with these vacuum trucks, many people worry they won't be able to get their raking done in time. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Eric Parker has some other options for those getting those pesky leaves out of your yard.
In many West Hartford neighborhoods, fall is reflected in the temperatures, but not in the trees. Leaves are still hanging on. And as the town's fleet of trucks moves around, there's often nothing to collect.
We have to start somewhere, and we have to end somewhere. And if we delay it, it's not like we can take those resources and double it up during the collection. All it does is move the collection back a week or so. And at the back end of this collection program is snow and ice.
They only make one pass in most neighborhoods, and they have to get to the leaves before the snow does. And today was a good reminder of that. The message from the town is if you have your leaves raked up to the curb, but they've already been by, unless it was the first few days of the leaf collection, they're not coming back. So you're going to have to make some other arrangement. One option you can do is to bag the leaves, put them out by the curb, and they say those leaves will be collected.
The message is they need to bag them or have somebody bring them down to the recycling center. If you bag them, we'll pick them up at curbside on your refuse collection day. If you have somebody else take them down to the recycling center, which is located next door to us, either they or their contractor can bring them down there, and there's no charge for that.
Public Works Director Dana Hollenbeck has another option too and uses his own yard as an example. He mows with a mulching mower.
saw the picture of my backyard on the website, it was absolutely covered. Now, it took me 3 passes to go over that, but I was able to pulverize the leaves to a fine, almost a dust, if you will, and then you don't have to worry about raking any leaves. I haven't raked leaves to the curbside in over 10 years.
And unless the leaves fall soon, many others might have to try that option as well. In West Hartford, Eric Parker, Channel 3, Eyewitness News.
Today, Yukon tested its alert notification system. The system has 10 speakers attached to poles across the store's campus that send out sirens. In addition to the sirens, the emergency system includes text messages, emails, a university voicemail, and a website notice. There are plans to install more sirens at Yukon's West Hartford and School of Law campuses as well.
Allegations that a nursing home operator in Connecticut let bills go unpaid while using company funds to launch a record label has grabbed the attention of a country music star, Travis Tritt. Through a manager says he will protect himself even if it means taking legal action against Raymond Termini, the CEO of Tritt's label Category 5. Termini is also the CEO of Haven Healthcare, which runs 15 nursing homes in our state. An investigation is underway right now. Some of those nursing homes have been deemed unsafe.
There are countless stories of rebuilding along the Gulf Coast. This house in particular that is under construction, a special one in that a contingent from Connecticut is here to help. We'll bring you that story coming up.
And a snowy start to the day, but soon this raw wintry weather will go away. Eyewitness News is in Granby this evening where it snowed today. Your early morning neighborhood forecast is coming up next.
Digging deeper to find the truth. Call the Channel 3 I-Team at 860-244-1780. Eyewitness News is everywhere. Friday Night Football Thanksgiving Special, Thursday after Eyewitness News.
All new tonight at 6, thousands of Americans are still putting the pieces back together 2 years after Hurricane Katrina made landfall on the Gulf Coast. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Mark Dixon went down with a group from Connecticut who's helping to rebuild, and he's joining us now with more on his trip. Mark?
Denise, the workload is extensive. The spirits, though, are high. The motivation to get those that were forced from their homes back into their neighborhoods. People from Connecticut, from your community, are doing what they can to move that process along. Well, there's a huge volunteer effort underway in New Orleans. It was along the Mississippi Gulf Coast that we found a group from New England.
This particular week, we have 5 Rebuilding Together affiliates represented out of the Northeast region, nearly 100 volunteers that are working on 6 houses.
That's the largest contingent to visit the Gulf Coast as part of this nonprofit so far. Diane Cassidy is one of 15 from Connecticut lending a hand.
It's vacation time, but it's an incredible experience. I couldn't imagine not going.
That's right. These volunteers take time off from their jobs to help those in need, and the work they do is amazing.
We got connected mysteriously and miraculously to Rebuilding Together, and it's been a godsend. I can't believe the progress that has happened within the last few days.
That's the daughter of Butch Leedy, who after evacuating to Orlando returned to find only the shell of his house. He's been living in a FEMA trailer for the past 2 years. Flood insurance covered $20,000, enough for only a new roof.
He lost everything from his furniture to his Lionel train set that he had in the attic when he was a kid. So he lost it all.
I was actually down here a year and a half ago, and I came down with all my tools, and the airlines charge you so much going back up. I decided, well, this year if we're going to do it, I'll drive down. I was fortunate enough to just to come down and give a little back.
Everybody that leaves here, sitting around the dinner table at night, everybody is saying this is just so unbelievable. You know, I gotta go back, and I have to tell my friends, I have to tell my relatives, we have to do this again.
Miss Lydia's home is another one that those from Connecticut were helping rebuild. Dating back to 1925, Katrina put this house under at least 5 feet of water. Each house that the group encounters as they help in the rebuilding process is basically at a different stage. This one, they've already put in the drywall, they've created a ceiling, they've taped it off. Hopefully by the end of the week, they'll get to paint. Hugh Hollingshead lives in West Hartford, works at Home Depot, and has been with Rebuilding Together now for 9 years.
First trip to Mississippi.
And what are your thoughts?
Wonderful place. People here are absolutely wonderful to us. We're very, very well received. They've been very gracious.
Mark Henley, a sheetrock taper from Kent, is self-employed and made the trip with financial support from his church.
When you come down here, you see there's still a lot of work to do. There's a long way to go down here. So it's been an eye-opener, but it's been very rewarding.
Philip Hutchins of Manchester, retired, heard about this organization through Channel 3 back in September.
You really get a sense of
the destruction when you come down here and look, see how things are down here and how lucky we are up there.
Now, Rebuilding Together is a nationwide organization with 235 affiliates in 47 of the 50 states. And if you're interested in volunteering locally or along the Gulf Coast, simply visit our website at WFSB.com. And while you're there, you can catch any of my reports from Louisiana and Mississippi. And speaking of those reports, tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, tune in for my third and final segment from the Gulf Coast, featuring those efforts of those rebuilding together along the coast.
All right, Mark, we have some breaking news in the Channel 3 Eyewitness Newsroom. A Bridgeport K9 cruiser has been found smashed up in a parking lot in Farmington in front of Linens and Things there. It's unclear how it ended up there, and police are investigating. Once again, it's a Bridgeport K9 cruiser smashed up in a parking lot at Linens and Things in Farmington. Lots of questions here. We'll sort it out for you and have the very latest tonight on Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 11.
It's right near the West Farms Mall. Well, Boston has the big dig, and Hartford might have the little dig. It would involve undoing a big mistake that has plagued the city and the region for years: highways right through downtown. Congressman John Larson told me that if the Colt Complex becomes a National Historic Landmark next month, he wants to propose a massive project to bury Interstate 91 through downtown Hartford. The project would open up acres of downtown land for prime development.
I do think that ultimately, if we were to sink from, let's say, the Charter Oak Bridge up to the Founders Bridge and put underground a tunnel that will allow us to totally recapture that riverfront, I think it would be great not only for the city of Hartford, but for the entire region.
You can see my entire interview with Congressman Larson this Sunday on Face the State.
Now, Channel 3 Early Warning Weather, powered by Early Warning Pinpoint Doppler, tracking weather in your town and everywhere in Connecticut.
Well, yes, a lot of you woke up to snowy conditions this morning, and it still lingered in parts of the state this afternoon. These foggy scenes are from New Hartford, where there's snow on the pier, looking really pretty. But I'll tell you what, if there's any snow left out there, it is going to be melting away big time over the next 24 to 48 hours as a nice warm-up heads our way. In fact, 60 degrees is not out of the question. Let's check out some snowfall totals for you today. East Granby, one of the higher totals reported in the state, at 2 inches. Now you take Winstead, South Windsor, Norfolk, and Tolland, about 1.3 inches, and Hartford anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to an inch of snow. So many places across interior Connecticut did have some accumulation, and yes, it did stick to the roads when it came down. There was some sleet too, and also some rain. But right now what we're dealing with is fog and a little bit of mist, no steady rain across the state at the moment. Look at the foggy conditions on our live city cam in Hartford. Now we're going to see some areas of dense fog as we head through tonight, so that's going to be the weather problem of the night. Not snow, not rain, but fog. The fog is lighter, as you can see on our live city cam in New Haven. Sleepy's Pinpoint Weather Net shows that it's very raw across the Connecticut River Valley. Hartford is 36, Enfield is 34, but you get over to Waterbury, it's 42. And right at the coast, Groton, Old Saybrook, New Haven, 48 degrees. You're not going to drop below the 40s as we head on through tonight. So the big picture shows that all the rain and the snow is gone, a few showers off to our north and west, and that's really about it. What we're going to be dealing with is a storm system, and a warm front too, that is going to be moving across the state during the day tomorrow, bringing with it milder weather. Then the storm will pass by just to our north and west on Thanksgiving Day. We'll start out on the mild side with a southerly flow. Showers come in the afternoon, and this chilly air is going to come sweeping in on a gusty northwest wind for the end of the week. So there's going to be a huge difference between Thursday and Friday. Channel 3's Early Warning Futurecast will be showing you tomorrow's weather today. Clouds and fog at 7 p.m., clouds and areas of fog at 7 a.m., and then during the day tomorrow, maybe some breaks in the clouds, but it's going to be, for the most part, mostly cloudy. Thanksgiving Day, we start out dry with clouds, and then showers come in during the afternoon and evening. So I think weather conditions will be okay for the Manchester road race. So 30s inland tonight, 40s at the coast, town by town, your highs for tomorrow. Better than today, 49 in Torrington. I think in Hartford we'll get up to 50 degrees, Southington 50, 50 in Marlborough, 49 in Ashford. Some places will get into the 50s like Plainfield. You get into southern Connecticut, and 52 in Old Saybrook, 53 in Old Saybrook, 51 in Chester. That could be a little bit conservative. 51 in Madison and 52 for a high in New Haven. Here's your 7-day forecast. Thursday, showers in the afternoon, 58. 37 on Friday, partly sunny and windy, maybe a flurry in the Litchfield Hills. The regular weekend, upper 30s and low 40s with lows in the teens and 20s, but dry. Monday could be a big rainstorm heading our way. There's your Shoreline 7-day forecast. 52 tomorrow and a mild 57 on Thanksgiving Day. Dennis and Denise.
All right, thank you, Bruce. Coming up new at 11, a bizarre crime wave is sweeping churches.
Thieves aren't stealing religious relics. They're stealing the material used to waterproof the rooftops. It's all new after Kane.
Now, Eyewitness Sports with Joe Zone.
I think the best way to talk about Yukon football this week is just forget about the X's and O's. That stuff is complicated. It's more for college football pregame shows than it is for what we can do here in a couple of minutes. I want to talk about the emotions, about the feelings, about the possibilities. And I keep going back to how little regard people had for this Yukon team, how they were picked by Big East coaches to finish with the bottom feeders. But they're in a place now every college football player dreams about, playing in a game the last week of November that has some meaning. In Yukon's case, the most meaning in the history of the program, a Big East championship.
When I decided to commit to Yukon, that's what I told my dad. I said, "Oh, now all we have to do is win the Big East," and he kind of laughed. And you know, it's a reality that can be achieved, and we just have to put our best foot forward and find a way.
Whoever thought we'd be doing what we're doing, except they got us. And we've had a lot of doubters and everything, but we use that for motivation.
When you come to college, you always want to play championship football, and I mean that's one dream that I think every athlete come to college to do, and that's play for a championship in your conference or the national championship. And I mean we're just working to it, and a dream's coming true.
Make no mistake about it, this will be Yukon's toughest challenge. West Virginia lost just once. They're ranked number 3 in the country. The Huskies are an 18-point underdog. That's about as big an underdog a 9-2 team will ever be. The Yukon basketball teams have had to share the spotlight a little bit the past couple of weeks, but I don't think Jim Calhoun or Gino Auriemma. While the second-ranked Yukon women get ready for a Big East game, or a big game against fourth-ranked Stanford at a tournament in the Virgin Islands, the Yukon men play their first game this season at the Civic Center. They take on Gardner-Webb tonight. The game is on television. That's sports. I'm Joe Zone. Dennis, Denise, back to you.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, thank you.
And before we say goodnight, we have a little bit more time for Bruce, who's standing by with the latest on the weather. Bruce?
Yeah, if you're going out tonight, Bruce, what do you expect?
Well, I expect fog. It's pretty thick in some parts of the state, and that's the problem we're going to be dealing with tonight. Not rain or snow or anything like that. There's some mist and fog, then 50 tomorrow and 58 on Thanksgiving Day with afternoon showers.
Good enough, so we won't go sailing for dinner then.
No, that's out. That'll do it for Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 6. We thank you for sharing your time with us tonight.
CBS Evening News with Katie Kirk is up next, and we'll see you tonight right after Kane. Good night.
Channel 3 Eyewitness News is always on. For breaking news, early warning weather, and webcasts anytime, go to WFSB.com. Channel 3 Eyewitness News is
exclusive new hotel demolition video. The incredible moment as the building comes down. Next in Sun Edition.
Tonight at 7 on Channel 3, your home for Eyewitness News.